back to Pure on the Road. I'm Sam Marasini here at Cisco Live 2022 with Joe Huge. Joe, part of our FlashStack engineering team. What's happening?
Man, great things are happening here. We're back in person. We're talking to people about tech. We're actually getting to have face-to-face conversations.
That's absolutely right. Look, dude, we're standing right in front. FlashStack, all these cool logos lit up. How cool is this?
This is awesome.
So tell me, this is the centerpiece. Customers are coming up asking about this.
Yes.
What kind of conversations are happening?
The biggest conversations we're having with customers are around, like, what can I do with FlashStack? What sorts of things can you guys solve problems for in my environment, right? I need to run all sorts of stuff that I maybe don't understand or that people need new capabilities for it. How do you address these problems, right?
And that's perfect, and I think a lot of times, right, Pure Storage, what we're doing here is extending that to the server layer, the networking layer, working with our partner Cisco to make this a reality for customers to make infrastructure uncomplicated.
Yes.
I like how I did that there.
We do. I do. That's awesome, man.
So one of the things that you're doing in our theater here, which has been packed, is talking about storage as code.
Yes.
Yeah, give me a little, what does that mean?
Infrastructure as code is a big push, and it's really about making things easier because of the fact that we put structures in place, we have a process to make all of these changes, not be reliant on us knowing exactly all the nerd knobs we have to change. We just say, make my environment do this, and I'm going to go to lunch.
I like it. Nerd knobs are fun, and I know you spend a lot of time with them,
absolutely.
Right? But let's just make the change, go to lunch. But there's a lot of engineering that goes into that behind the scenes.
There is.
And I know that's what you're doing in the labs.
Yes.
But you're the guy that understands that the networking layer, the server layer, how this all ties together, how Intersight makes this all possible, and how we tie it together. And maybe even more interesting, how Kubernetes and Portworx can help a little bit.
Absolutely.
So where have you been spending your time?
We put a lot of engineering into making these things look easy. Like, there's a lot of work that goes into the back end, and it's really hard to make something easy to do.
Yes.
It's easy to make it super complicated, but we want to make it easy for anybody to be able to consume this at any level, anywhere.
Yeah, that's exactly right. Make it easy for everyone.
Yes.
So along those lines, this is great. I love hardware. I love touching it. I love our mascot here behind me, right? Who's this guy?
This is Francois FlashStack, our new best friend.
Francois, much more coming from Francois than social media. But what I want to do, Joe, I want you to show me, how do we do this when it comes to Portworx, Kubernetes, database as a service? I'm hearing so much going on, but is this really easier for our customers?
I'm going to show you how we can do this by pushing a couple of buttons and copying and pasting some code without you needing to be a certified Kubernetes administrator to make Kubernetes run in your environment.
I love it. So we're going to go, and you're going to show me at one of the demos here, which, by the way, customers are reading this up.
Yeah, they are.
They're loving seeing this. Your infrastructure as code or storage as code session in the breakout theater was packed.
Hands on keyboards, let's go.
Hands on keyboards.
So we're going to show everybody how easy it is to inject Portworx data services into Cisco Intersight Kubernetes service.
Okay, Portworx data services.
Yes.
Give me a high level on that.
This is going to be database as a service, so people that need to actually have workloads happen inside of their environment don't have to worry about the hardware, the infrastructure, all the underlying layers in between. We give them essentially the iPhone application service of, like, put this here and make it go.
Okay, and we've been talking about that for a while. Portworx data services, here's how we're going to do it. But first, we need to install Kubernetes, then we need to install Portworx, then Portworx data services. It sounds like a lot.
You know, it's not so bad.
All right,
you do it one time and we'll see.
All right, let's do it.
We're going to go through, deploy, create a Kubernetes cluster within IKS. We're going to install Portworx Enterprise, which is actually going to be the shortest part of this whole thing.
Nice.
And then we're going to actually connect the cluster and get a database up and running.
All right, so first, this is Intersight.
Intersight, right here, you're seeing it live. So the first thing we're going to do is go create our configuration, our Kubernetes profile. We've got our cluster config. We're clicking next all the way throughout this thing. Build our control plane nodes. We need that pool ready to go. We now have our worker nodes that are being configured. We put in some add-ons if we have anything we're doing for this environment. We get our summary of what's going on for the cluster profile, and we click deploy.
Okay, so here's what I want to ask you. This is Intersight.
This is Intersight.
You're doing this on top of FlashStack.
Right.
Which is perfect. I want to make sure that we're pointing that out.
Absolutely.
Right? So I love it. The integration there's perfect. That's installed.
So now we manage our IKS cluster by downloading a kubectl config file and just connecting to it. Right.
Kubectl config file.
Now we install Portworx Enterprise, right?
Okay.
We're going to see that this is about, I don't know, 7 seconds of the video because we copy and paste a kubectl apply on top of that Intersight Kubernetes cluster. and we now have Portworx installed.
All right, so I'm cutting and pasting. I'm getting the code that I need. I love CLIs, bro.
Bam, and we're done.
It's
That's
been
it.
so long.
Right.
It's awesome.
Now we make things actually happen that we need to have inside of our business, right?
That's what we want.
We add our deployment targets, right? This is how we add the Intersight cluster into the deployment targets for Portworx data services. We see we've got this. Now here at this step, we're deploying our actual data service. So we're picking whether or not we want Cassandra, RabbitMQ, Kafka, Zookeeper, or PostgreSQL.
Nice. So those databases are built in.
They are built in, ready to go. Right, check the box. I need one of these.
Okay,
go.
I want Cassandra, or whatever it might be.
Yep, so here we're doing a deployment of PostgreSQL. We can see our connection details. We can copy our username and password. We can actually get to our Postgres endpoint. We see a node that's living here. We're done.
We're done. It's that easy to pull
is
that
that
all
easy.
together.
Yep.
And a lot of that, by the way, it's command line, but anyone out there that's familiar with command line interfaces, all over that. If you're doing Kubernetes, you saw how easy it is. Some cut and pasting. Portworx gets layered on top, then Portworx Data Services. Now, what you have is an environment for your end user or your customer to be able to ask for a database platform for their application.
Right. Well, and that's the whole thing. We set this up, we do it one time. We have our Kubernetes cluster that's managed by Intersight. We have our Portworx enterprise deployment inside of this thing. Once we have Portworx data services set up once, the second time that we need to deploy a database, it's pick one out of the menu and say go.
I absolutely love it, and that's what it's all about. Pick it out of the menu, go.
Yep.
So from our users, right, the person that's doing all that, their customers is who has the application and wants that database.
Yep.
So this simplifies it for them to allow those customers to
Yes.
access it.
They pick and choose what it is that they need to actually have to
Got
make
it.
these workloads run without worrying about the infrastructure stack and everything else underneath.
And in infrastructure,
None.
right? Because then I'm deploying a database. I'm not worried about the compute layer, the networking layer, the storage layer. It's all there.
Right.
I'm not even worried about the database layer to some extent because
Pretty
I can
much.
pick any of those, and that allows me to very quickly get that database deployed, which is about uncomplicating application infrastructure in this case because we're taking it all the way to the top.
Absolutely.
Joe, this is awesome. All right, tell me about Cisco Validated Designs, Pure Validated Designs, how that all ties together, and how that can help them do this even faster.
So Cisco Validated Designs are all about a great partnership that we have with Cisco where they install hardware, they test things in the lab. We install hardware, we test things in the lab. We document it down to the nth degree of every screenshot that you have for every checkbox inside of your environment. Now we're taking those to the next level by adding infrastructure as code. So instead of following 200 pages of screenshots, you have a handful of lines of code that you go run. Set some variables, say make this happen, and you go to lunch, right? Come back and you have a flash stack, right? It's amazing
It's beautiful.
stuff. Yes.
I love it, and that's more information on that.
That gives us a good baseline, right? So we build off these Cisco validated designs, and from the Pure perspective, as we have customers that we need to enable to run more than workloads, more than a single workload inside of an environment, because people might actually run like VMware plus SQL, right? Or VMware plus bare metal Kubernetes and things like this, right? So we're taking the Pure validated designs and we're making this more modular where we can show people the best practices of putting all of these things together within a flash stack environment and how to layer it all and have it play nicely the way that it's supposed to.
The way that it's supposed to.
Yes.
Simply, we put the work into it.
Right.
I absolutely love it. This is perfect. Thanks. More information, purestorage.com/flashstack. I think you'll find all kind of stuff.
Fun
Thanks
stuff.
for watching. Hit that subscribe button for more. There's so much more coming here from Cisco Live and all that stuff from Accelerate last week. My mind is blown, Joe. There's so much going on.
There's so much stuff, man. It's all good.
Thank you.